Hello and welcome back. So a couple of lessons ago we talked about lifting state, and we saw how a parent can share its state with its children. The example we gave was here. We created this counter state, and then we shared the counter and its setter function with the two child React components, banner and click button. So that works just fine if you just want to share with your children. But when it's actually your grandchildren or great-grandchildren that want to get hold of the state, you need to pass it to your children, they pass it to their children, and so on until it finally gets down to the ancestor that requires it. And that can be a real pain. So React provides an alternative mechanism for sharing state, and that's called createContext. And that's what we started to build in the last lesson. Essentially, counter provider is going to share some state, and then everything in app content and its children and grandchildren, they'll all be able to get hold of it. So all we need to do really is share the state in counter provider, and then we can modify our children to get hold of it. So let's make a start on that. To actually create the context, we call a React function specifically designed for this purpose called createContext. So I'll just import that. And once we've called that, it'll set up the context. And I've called it counter-context, and call it anything you like. But then the way we use it is we replace these divs surrounding the children. So I say counter-context, it's provider. It's rather strange syntax, but that's how it works. And we put that in the opening and closing tags. And now these children are going to have access to this context. The next thing we need to do is actually put something into the context which we're sharing. And what I'm going to put in is this state. So I'm going to take it out of app content. I'm going to lift it even higher to the provider. And to do that, I'll have to move this use state import. Put it in here. And then, so I've got some state I want to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an object that I want to share and put this state into it. So I'll say const shared data equals an object, and inside it is counter and set counter. And then all I need to do is use the special attribute called value. Say value equals my shared data. And now I have provided the context with my shared data, which contains the state information that I want to share. And that really is it. That's all we have to do to start consuming it. So let's go straight to banner and we'll look how we consume it. We're not going to have it as some parameters passed down from the parent anymore. Instead, we're going to consume it by calling the React function useContext. And we provide it with the context we want to consume. So it's counter context in our case. And if we look, the UI, the IDE has imported that for me automatically, but I do need to import useContext, which he seems to have missed. The reason I'm not doing anything about all these imports is when we get onto TypeScript, it'll sort of change, so we'll fix all that then. Okay, so I've called useContext. I've told it which context I want to use. That will return the shared data that I was interested in. So let's just say const value equals useContext. Again, I could call this absolutely anything, but inside this value object is going to be the state that I want. So I'll destructure that. I'll say const, let's say counter equals value. So I've taken counter out of the value, and it looks like we've renamed it. So I'll just change that here. And that's all I need to do. I've now shared counter up here and I've read it down here. And likewise, I need to do the same in click button. So let's just have a quick look at that. I'm not going to be passing anything down in props instead I will get hold of, in fact, so sorry, I'm going to be getting message from props, aren't I? But I'm not going to get the counter or the callback function anymore. Instead, let's just tidy this up. We can take this message and put it props there. That's a bit tidier, isn't it? And then we'll do the same as we did in Banner. Let me just copy and paste the code. I'll take these two imports and I'll put them in click button as well. And then I will take these two items here and I'll put them in click button. So at least click button has now got the value, the counter. So it looks like it also wants the setter function. So let's set counter. And now I can say call set counter with counter plus a 1, and we're all sorted. Click button and banner are now fixed. We can change the app. We don't have to export anything to banner, and we don't need to export these two to click button. And we should see this now all works. So let's do npm install and npm run dev. And there we are. It's all still working. So I hope you're impressed. I certainly was. The first time I saw createContext, I thought, wow, this is fabulous. It's so easy. Okay, there are a few little tweaks we can make to this to make it a bit tidier. And later on in some other lessons, we'll find a few shortcuts to even reduce the code further. But I wanted to just show you the basic, simple way of doing this without confusing you with helper functions. So I'll close this lesson here, and I will see you in the next.